We tend to think that low intelligence is something really obvious, right? Like bad grades or making huge mistakes. But what if the real signs are hiding in plain sight? What if they're baked into the tiny everyday habits that we don't even think twice about?
It's a tough question, isn't it? Because today, we're not going to talk about your resume or your test scores. We're going to look at the subtle, unconscious things you do every day that might be telling a completely different story about how your brain really works.
So check out this contrast. On the left, you've got everything we're taught to see as a sign of intelligence, the big, flashy achievements. But a lot of psychologists say the real truth is over on the right. It's hidden in the small routines, the ignored behaviors, the things we do on autopilot every single day.
And here's the part that really got me. This isn't just about how people see you. The sources we looked at are really clear on this. These habits aren't just symptoms, they're the cause. Over time, they can physically change your brain's pathways, making it genuinely harder to think critically and solve problems. Okay, let's dive into our first big idea. What happens when our brains just get lazy? This is all about the danger of taking mental shortcuts instead of doing the actual hard work of thinking. Have you ever worn your lucky socks to a job interview? Or, made sure not to step on a crack in the sidewalk? That right there is magical thinking. It's your brain connecting two things that have zero connection, like socks and getting a job, and building a superstition around it. It feels totally harmless, but it's a classic example of a mental shortcut.
And this question is the real game changer. An intelligent mind learns to hit the pause button and ask, simply, wait a minute, where's the evidence for that? A mind that's taking a shortcut just skips that step completely, and it builds entire rituals on coincidence instead of actual logic.
And that tendency leads straight to these behaviors. When you start valuing a dramatic story more than you value hard evidence, your thinking gets wobbly. You become way more likely to fall for easy but wrong explanations, like conspiracy theories, and you just jump to conclusions without a second thought.
And this phrase, this is pretty much the battle cry of mental inflexibility. It's not someone defending a better way of doing things. It's a complete refusal to even consider a new way. Psychologists see this as a huge red flag for a rigid mind, a mind that gets stuck while the world just keeps changing around it.
So let's move on to our next section, because this all builds on itself. What happens when we're not just avoiding the outside world, but we start avoiding our own thoughts? If the idea of sitting in a perfectly quiet room gives you a little bit of anxiety, this one's for you. This isn't about being an extrovert who loves people. A constant need for background noise, TV, music, anything, often signals a fear of being left alone with your own mind. Smarter minds actually use that solitude to reflect. Others just run from it. And this little loop is what fuels that avoidance. It starts with a flicker of boredom or some other discomfort. So you grab your phone or a snack for a quick fix. You get that tiny hit of dopamine, and boom, you've just taught your brain to pick an easy out instead of sustained effort. It absolutely kills your patience and your ability to work on anything long-term. Psychologists actually have a term for this, and it explains that person who can talk for an entire hour without saying anything meaningful. It's not that they can't think deeply, it's that they have zero interest in it. They'd much rather stick to filler, the weather, traffic, because small talk takes almost no mental effort. Just think about this balance in your own life for a second. Is most of your time spent on active growth, or is it passive consumption? Because hours of doom scrolling and binge-watching TV aren't just a way to relax. You're actually training your brain to need constant, easy stimulation, which makes it weaker when it comes to focusing on really hard problems. All right, this brings us to our third and final theme for today. What happens when our own ego becomes a roadblock to our intelligence? The classic Dunning-Kruger effect. We've all seen this in action, right? The person who speaks with 100% certainty but has absolutely nothing to back it up. Well, this happens because the very skills you need to be good at something are often the same skills you need to realize you're not good at it. True intelligence is humble. It has the courage to say, I don't know. And this just lays out the difference so clearly. Poor listeners, they aren't actually listening. They're just waiting for their turn to talk. They interrupt, they tune out complex ideas. And why? Because really listening is hard work. It forces your brain to engage with new information. And a smart mind craves that. It sees it as a chance to learn something. This right here, this is the sound of a closed mind. That immediate, reflexive no. It's not a thoughtful critique, it's an intellectual defense mechanism. I mean, it's way easier to just dismiss an idea than to actually engage with it, explore it, and, think about it.
So, after going through all that, what's the big takeaway here? Well, it's that none of this has to be permanent. The source material is so clear about this. Intelligence isn't some fixed thing you're born with. It's a habit, and you can build it.
Just let that sink in for a second. These things are not character flaws. They are patterns. And the great thing about patterns is that they can be recognized, they can be interrupted, and they can be replaced with better ones. Change is 100% possible. So where do you start? Well, the material points to 3 incredibly powerful habits. First, guard your sleep like it's gold. Seriously, it's your brain's maintenance cycle. It's essential for memory and critical thinking. Second, use your quiet time for reflection, not just for distraction. That's where you really connect ideas. And third, always ask for the evidence. That one simple question is like a shield that protects you from so much bad information. This quote just nails the whole idea. You could spend 1,000 hours playing a video game, but never get any better if you don't stop and reflect on your mistakes. And life is exactly the same. Growth doesn't come from just passively doing things, it comes from actively thinking about them. So, here's the bottom line. Every single day, you're making hundreds of tiny choices that are either making your mind stronger or weaker. After seeing all these patterns laid out, the only real question left is, which ones are you going to choose to build from now on?